Okay, remember that they're changing my voice. They're probably going to suppress this video, but I'm going to try anyway. This is an important video to the immigrant communities in Los Angeles, especially Hispanic communities. They are trying to set you up. Almost certainly there are lots of cameras in your communities, lots of informants, and they have other technologies that allow them to see what's going on in the community and to mark individuals and to understand who they are. They don't always arrest people who commit crimes when they identify who they are, and it has to do with the psychological operations that are going on and a kind of occult game that they're playing, believe it or not. So recently I saw in the news that a vice mayor in the Los Angeles area started calling on gang members to defend their turf, at least according to the title of the video. I'm going to watch the video again and make this in at least 2 clips here. The reason why that is occurring is because people are putting it in people's heads. Maybe she didn't come up with it herself. Maybe she's in a cult. I don't know. But I know there's technologies. They can put things in your head, right? They can make it seem like they're talking to you, like it's your own voice in your head. They can make it seem like there's a microphone in your head, believe it or not. They're called voice-to-skull and synthetic telepathy. And these things are patented and they're well documented. They exist for sure. They also can make you think of things that seem to come from your own mind without them seeming to be talking to you. And a lot of times you see in the news people looking like they're disassociated, like they're on drugs. You got to make the distinction between cocaine and fentanyl and heroin and marijuana and alcohol and on and on, and mind control. It's there. It can be subtle at times, but it is definitely there. I urge you to not be violent. I urge you to be very careful about what you do and to consider that peaceful debates and billboards and peaceful demonstrations can be more effective. The enemies of humanity, they want to look good. They want to make things go a certain way. They want to control sexual behavior. There's things you can do. You can deny them control of the men, women, and children in your neighborhoods and communities. You could expose what they're doing. You can stand together and refuse to take part. You're taking losses either way. People are getting locked up. They're getting killed. They're getting beat. They're overdosing on drugs. Tons of 50,000 suicides a year. And they're probably disproportionately poor people and people of color. And perhaps LGBT people. Though I'm not LGBT myself, I just call it how it is. Certainly there's whites, Jews, and LGBT people involved on the highest level of these things. They're the main groups doing it. Those particular people from those groupings. What is going on is extremely serious. They are trapping you, and they want people to believe that the solution is magically something that it is not. There's a witch over here turning her back on me right now as I'm making this video. Anyway, that they want you to believe that the solution is magically something that it's not, which is for the government to do what is despicable, which is to control females, because they know that there's females in the neighborhood who have a certain psychological effect on people. When you're a gang member, quite often you're killing somebody, if you're killing somebody, over a female. 13% of homicides historically or so are directly attributable to romance-related issues, and all homicides almost certainly connect to romance-related issues. You're just being around hot chicks who are dressed a certain way. A lot of times they speak to people a certain way that encourages them to do things. And the government doesn't miss this. That's why it's called a green card. They want to control customs, right? Immigration and customs enforcement. Enforcement, meant being in mind as in the word mental. It's also in the word government and establishment. These dogs have no respect for human life. They have no respect for the sanctity of marriage or dating. These are monsters here. And they're going to have a field day here if people don't scramble to stop them. I'm sure right now there's people being sexually assaulted and groped by lowly ICE agents. My older brother told me that it came out in the news that some of these guys are Proud Boys, maybe even from the January 6th rioters. These are lawless dogs. And they have the nerve, people who are affiliated with them have the nerve to argue that you should insult them. That's ridiculous. We've seen in the Code of Silence documentary that even the police themselves admit that they have a lot of corrupt police officers. They said that about the same percentage of criminals you have in the society, you have in law enforcement. Okay? That means there's a lot of corrupt people operating with relative impunity. Now, they're fuming me and making it harder for me to talk. Even the word fume is a play on words for F-U-me. Position is poison is scrambled. Gas is a play on words for gays. And there's a long story for that. But let me just end by saying this. The word slaughter is the word laughter's scrambled. That's the kind of monsters you're dealing with. Think about the Roman Colosseum, right? English and German and French, and Spanish, they're Latin-rooted languages. The people who dominate the languages have taken over the peoples. And every race is under their control to a large degree. I'm not, because of who exactly I am. See my Proof I'm Christ playlist. They try to get me to avoid saying who I am. They say things like, we'll help you get the video out if you don't say that. Well, that's rubbish. They're trying to control the narrative. It's just another way of them trying to control what's said. And they want to pretend they're on your side. You can't trust anyone but me. And you got to make damn sure that it is me. And you got to listen carefully to what I'm saying and ask yourself, if someone's trying to do you wrong, would they tell you things that I'm telling you and the way that I'm telling you? Proof. Pro of what? Marshall is marital scrambled and I Christ and the bridegroom profound. Profound. Now they changed my voice to try to make it sound corny before I even upload it. Before the video's even done recording. And they also covertly edit the videos. But is this information corny? Information. Whose formation? They want to control information because they want to control things. The dissemination of information, the dissection. Dissecting people. And a sect, a religious sect. And to dissect. And the word sect is like the word sex. 666, well, 6 is sex in Latin. A huge part of what's going on is they're trying to control sexual behavior. And a lot of you might say, well, duh, because you're in a cult. If that's obvious, and it's stupid to say it, which it's not, mind you, because you need to be reminded, if for nothing else, and people need to think of it in a certain way, how much more obvious is it to not join a cult and to face the oppressor, those who have raped and slaughtered your ancestors?